Hello, my name is Jacob, and this is my show about literature. And only literature. Today I'm going to be doing a little something different. Usually I read off of these prompts that are in front of the camera that you can't see. But I've written an essay on the aspect of class bias in the play, and I'd like to read it off. So, here goes. In the play Julius Caesar, there is a clear portrayal of class bias against the lower ranks of the populace that emanates from the lines of the equestrian nobility. Their speech is filled with disgust for their flippancy and penchant for having no capacity for independent thought or action. They are described as rabblement, idle creatures, cruel men of Rome, tag-rag people, and the common herd. Their deeds are depicted as violent, barbaric, and worthy of nothing less than simpletons. At best, the opinions of the elitist politicians are patronizing. They see themselves as the guardians of a populace that would degenerate into chaos without their control. Cassius illustrates this when he says, "And why would Caesar be a tyrant then, poor man? I know he would not be a wolf, but that he sees the Romans as but sheep. He were no lion, were not Romans hinds. Those that with haste will make a mighty fire begin it with weak straws. What trash is Rome? What rubbish? What offal? When it serves for the base matter to illuminate so vile a thing as Caesar." To his mind, the people of Rome are incapable of seeing the danger of Caesar, who would enslave the populace as a tyrant. His coalition of assassins represent the rightful ruling class who acts in the best interest of the people and protect them from threats that they are unable to comprehend. Even Brutus, who is possibly the least vindictive against the lower classes, says when he extols the crowd at Caesar's funeral, "Awake your senses, that you may better judge. Who here is so base that would be a bondman?" Here we see that his opinion of the people's intellect is so low that he feels it necessary to spoon-feed his argument that Caesar was a tyrant and the assassins were their liberators. But if Brutus is the most considerate of the equestrians, then Casca is most certainly the least considerate. He spares no courtesy when dispensing his opinions of the people of Rome. His slurs are as colorful as they are cruel. He remarks that the crowd, upon witnessing Caesar refuse the crown 3 times, hooted and clapped their chopped hands and threw up their sweaty nightcaps and uttered such a deal of stinking breath that it almost choked Caesar, for he swooned and fell down at it. Such a description does not encourage a positive reception of the populace for the reader. It also does not reflect that Casca has any high regards for them in general. His depiction sounds more on par with an illustration of filthy pigs in a muddy sty than it does a crowd of human beings. He goes on to say, when he came to himself again, he said if he had done anything or said anything amiss, he desired their worships to think it was his infirmity. 3 or 4 wenches, where I stood, cried, "Alas, good soul!" and forgave him with all their hearts. But there's no need to be taken of them. If Caesar had stabbed their own mothers, they would have done no less. This remark in particular reveals Casca's belief that the people are a mindless mob, subject to the influences of worthier men who possess the capacity for individual thought. They bow before figurehead after figurehead, blindly obeying with rapturous delight, as Shakespeare so eloquently describes at various points during the play. What can be said of the populace, who is so easily moved to love Caesar as they were Pompey? How can one stand behind a class who climbed up to the walls and battlements, to towers and windows, yea, to the chimney tops, to see great Pompey pass the streets of Rome, and now put on their best attire, cull out a holiday, and strew flowers in his way that comes in triumph over Pompey's blood? Who vacillates as rapidly as a bead of water in a tilting glass at the command of a well-crafted rhetoric? Why should Casca have faith in a class who would allow themselves to be so enraged over the death of a would-be tyrant that they would murder a man simply for having the name Cinna? I have spoken before on the impact that Shakespeare's historical research had on this play, and once again I must stress its importance. One must realize that the histories handed down to Shakespeare were not written from the perspective of the common man, but from the vantage point of the elite. We see that this aspect permeates the texts available at the time of Julius Caesar's construction. Cicero, who was a contemporary of Caesar and a member of the equestrian class, states, "There is nothing more unpredictable than the mob, nothing more obscure than public opinion, nothing more deceptive than the whole political system," and also demanded that there be more laws, and less justice. It is in quotes like these that he reveals his complete lack of confidence in the ability of the general public to make a meaningful impact in the political arena. In a government that was founded on the principle of the Senate and the Roman people, Cicero saw the latter as a hindrance, an unnecessary cog in the wheel of government. Plutarch is no less gracious. He writes, "This is really the predicament of men who live in public life, who respond to the caprices and impulses of mobs. They make themselves slaves and followers so that they may be called leaders and rulers of people." Again, it is because of this language that Shakespeare was inspired to include it in his play. He wanted to accurately portray the class distinction between the political elite and the masses. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, if you like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I've got to say, it's been a good month. I really enjoyed going over Julius Caesar. The next text we're going to be studying is Kim by Rudyard Kipling. So stay tuned for that. I can't wait.